Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Gaza's only power station has run out of fuel as Israel's siege continues. Earlier this week, Israel announced it was cutting supplies of electricity, fuel and water. Fighting is continuing between Israeli forces and Hamas. Here, 2 women narrowly escaping after being caught in a crossfire between the two sides near kibbutz. Pope Francis has called on Hamas to release all hostages while expressing grave concerns about the total Israeli siege imposed on Gaza. Palestine's health ministry says 1,055 people have been killed and more than 5,000 injured since Israel's retaliatory airstrikes began on Saturday. Meanwhile, officials say at least 1,200 people have died and 2,900 others have been injured in Israel. Another earthquake has hit western Afghanistan just days after 2 large quakes in the same region killed more than 1,000 people. The new 6.3 magnitude quake struck around 28 kilometers north of the city of Herat. More than 100 were injured and sent to hospital, health officials said. The wider impact is not yet clear, but many were sleeping in the open after their homes were destroyed on Saturday. Aid agencies have said there is also a shortage of blankets, food and other supplies. Vote counting is underway after polls closed in Liberia's presidential and parliamentary elections on Tuesday. People in the West African nation are voting to elect the president, members of the House of Representatives and half of the Senate. The incumbent president and former footballer George Weah, who's seeking a second term, is the favourite against 19 rivals for the presidency. Damage to the Baltic-Connector gas pipeline was caused by quite heavy force, that's according to Estonia's defence minister, a day after Finland said it could have been the result of deliberate action. The Baltic Sea pipeline and a telecommunications cable connecting Finland and Estonia were damaged on Sunday. On Tuesday, Helsinki said the damage was likely caused by outside activity and that the cause was being investigated.
I think this is a very stress test for the alliance. We know that we are talking about critical infrastructure of 2 NATO countries, and if this is indeed a sabotage by another state, then it's a serious thing for NATO and the alliance, and this is something that should be addressed within the alliance. How do we create a deterrent? How do we do better protection and surveillance of maritime infrastructure?
A hurricane described as extremely dangerous has made landfall on Mexico's Pacific coast. Hurricane Lydia hit Mexico as a Category 4 storm, bringing wind speeds of up to 140 miles per hour. But the storm has weakened after moving inland, with the US National Hurricane Center downgrading it to a Category 2 status. The journalist Chung Lei has returned home to Australia after more than 3 years of detention in China. Here pictured smiling with Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong at Melbourne Airport. The 48-year-old was working as a business reporter for China's state-run English-language TV station CGTN when she was arrested on the 13th of August 2020. She was later accused of illegally supplying state secrets overseas. Her charges were never made public.
Her return brings an end to a very difficult few years for Ms Cheng and her family. This is an outcome that the Australian government has been seeking for a long period of time, and her return will be warmly welcomed, not just by her family and friends, but by all Australians.
And a 104-year-old Chicago woman who jumped from a plane 1 week ago in what is believed to be a new world record for the oldest skydiver in the world has died. A week ago, Dorothy Hoffner left behind her walker to do a 13,500-foot tandem leap from an airplane at Skydive in Illinois. Hoffner was met with a huge round of applause once her feet returned to solid ground, even though the centenarian herself didn't see what all the fuss was about. The Guinness World Record group attended Hoffner's jump but has not yet completed the process of certifying it. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.